All right, thank you for joining me on the next episode of Math Meowtics. So on this one, I'm going to talk about one of the problems from the homework again. This one's going to be a little bit different. It says we're going to talk about a word problem, and then I'm also going to show you how to graph it. So it says cherries cost $2 per pound, and grapes cost 50 cents per pound. We can spend no more than $2 on fruit, and we need at least $2 per pound. Okay, now I'm going to do something a little bit different here. I'm going to write some symbols. Okay, and the reason that I'm going to write some symbols is because this helping the symbols and writing them over the word problems helps us write our actual inequalities. It tells us in the graph that it gives us that cherries are X. So I'm going to write over about this. I'm going to write above cherries, X. And it also tells us that the pound of grapes are Y. Okay, well, if I can spend no more than $2, so then that means that my symbol has to be towards the left. I can spend $2, so that can be equal to $2. Then the number of fruit has to be at least $2 pounds and hours in all, so then that's going to be greater than or equal to 2. Okay, so now let's write our inequalities. We want to talk about, the first inequality is going to be easier for us to talk about in terms of the cost, the money. So we're going to talk about $2 per pound, so that's going to be less than. The cost is 2x, so that's going to be 2x plus 0.5y. Okay, that's the cost. We're talking because each pound that I buy, each pound of cherries I buy, so that would be 2 times that value of x. So if I buy 1 pound of cherries, that would be 2. And if I buy 1 pound of grapes, that would be 0.5. And so that would be that would allow me to figure out 0.5, so 1. So then that would also give me 2.5. And also if I buy 1 pound of cherries and 1 pound of grapes, will that fit into my scenario? I don't know. I don't think so. Now let's keep continuing on. Let's write our second inequality. Our second inequality, let's talk about the amount of fruit that we need to buy. It says that we need to at least buy 2 pounds. Okay, so that means that our symbol is going to be greater than or equal to 2. Now, since we're just talking about the pounds, we're not going to add in the money values, the dollar values. So we're just going to simply talk about the number of pounds of cherries and the number of pounds of grapes that we're going to buy. Okay, now I can write this into a linear slope-intercept form. So that's going to be y is equal to mx plus b. And I'm going to rewrite this equation here, 2x plus 0.5y less than or equal to 2. I need to isolate the y. That's our value right there. So I'm going to subtract 2x, the term 2x, from both sides. So then that's going to give us y is less than or 0.5y is less than or equal to negative 2x plus 2. Now I'm going to divide by 0.5, divide by 0.5, divide by 0.5. So y is less than or equal to negative 2 divided by 0.5 will give us negative 4x. Positive 2 divided by 0.5 will give us 4. Okay, so if I were to talk about in terms of graphing that, I'm going to put my point there. And if I want to see where, on this program here, we don't really need to do rise over run. We can actually just find our slope-intercept here. So, or our x-intercept. So in order for me to find our x-intercept, that's when the value of y is equal to 0. So I'm going to plug in 0 for y, less than or equal to negative 4x, and I'm going to solve for x. Well, that's going to give me negative 4, less than or equal to 4x. 4 divided by negative 4 divided by negative 4 is going to be 1. Okay, so x has to be greater than or equal to the value of 1. That's okay, but we're really just talking about looking at what our, so when y is 0, x is going to be 1. So I'm going to look and I'm going to plot that coordinate point there, and I'm going to draw my line. All right, so now let's go over to the graph. I'm going to hit that little magnifying glass. And I have my pointer here, and then the next tool bar is my line tool. That's the one I really need here. So I'm going to go to 4. That was my intercept, my y-intercept, and my x-intercept. I've plotted it. Now, here's a comment that I want to make. It has to be solid because we know it's not just, I have the underline, so it can be equal to. But if it was dotted, if it was just greater than, I would have to have the slash. But so we can keep it solid, and we need to figure out whether or not we need to shade above or below. Okay, well, let's go back to our inequality. So it says y is less than negative 4x plus 4. 0 is less than 4, so that's our 0.00 is there. So it's true, so I need to shade the bottom region of our graph. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go to this little toolbar that looks like a bucket, and I'm going to fill. I'm just going to click on it. Done. Now I need to go back to we need to graph our second inequality. Our second inequality that we have is x plus y is greater than or equal to 2. I'm going to subtract x. So that's going to give me y is greater than or equal to negative x plus 2. So our slope is going to be negative 1 over 1. And our y-intercept, our b, is going to be 2. Okay, so now let me go back to my graph. And I have my dotted line, and it's going to be solid, so I don't need to change it. So I'm going to go over here to 2. And down 1, right 1. So that is going to be the graph of my line. Now, let's figure out where I need to shade. So I'm going to graph it on this little, on my side graph here. Let me do a different color. I'll do green. So that's going to be at 2 and 1, 1, 1, 1. So it's going to be right there. Okay. Now, talking about in terms of, it says y has to be greater than x plus negative x plus 2. So 0 is 0 greater than negative x plus, or 0 greater than or equal to 2. No. So then that means I need to shade above on my graph. I do different color. That won't be a highlighter. We'll do yellow. So that's going to be this whole entire shaded region. But look where they doubled up. Where they doubled up is in this region right here. Okay? So that means that that's the only region on my graph that should be shaded. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to make sure that that is selected. And I'm going to select my little bucket right there of the first one, and I'm going to hit the delete to make sure that I know that that's the only region that should be colored. And I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to check my answer. My answer is correct. I am done. Good job. Way to go. Woo-ah! All right. I will see you in the next video. See you later, kittens.